Deandra, thank you so much for joining us today. You have been such an inspiration on socials and emailing us. So I felt like we just had to have you on to meet our Kids Yoga Stories community. To get started, why don't you get us up to speed with your background? So you're from what we see, you're this super engaging, innovative, creative kids yoga teacher, and you're all over the place. You have this fire in the belly, you're passionate, you're bringing together lots of different experiences from your education background and your love of SEL. So give us sort of just a brief idea of who you are and what's your work right now, some context for this conversation.
Well, first of all, thank you. That was very, very kind, and it means a lot coming from you. So thank you for those very kind words. So I have been an educator since 2007. I've always taught at an elementary school level. I mean, I believe my second job ever was working at a daycare. After school, I would take over for the classroom teacher from 3 to 6. So I was always working with children. That was an inspiration from my nephew who lived in my home. So I always knew children were who I feel, most drawn to. I am
Yeah.
very childlike. I love toys probably more than my children. I like that this keeps me vibrant. Um, I have spent about 15 years in the classroom as a special education teacher at the elementary level. COVID happened. I worked up closer to New York City. I'm in New Jersey, but it was very, it was a lot of time that had gone by. And,
Mm.
um, you know, circumstances change. And, I decided to leave the classroom, which was not an easy decision. And I just didn't feel right about it. I didn't like not calling myself a teacher anymore. I didn't really know who I was for a little while. And I decided to go right back to school and to do or to study what I enjoyed most about teaching. And academics are important, but I can say with pride, I always made the kids feel
Mhm.
very at home. We were a team, we were a family. So
Mhm.
that's where you start as a teacher, is gaining not just necessarily rapport, but gaining their respect and their trust. So
Mhm.
that's where I come in. And I figured, let me see, how can I extend that? Rutgers University has a program. You take 3 courses in order to become a certified social emotional learning specialist. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant, what I was going to do with that. It required um, what's called a practicum. So I asked the daycare where my daughter was attending or had attended. She had started kindergarten by then, but um, I asked if I could do my practicum there. And I would go for 12 weeks, and I designed it's a character education. So there was a lot of different, about dependability, perseverance, honesty,
Yeah.
citizenship. And then I was like, well, I loved doing yoga in the classroom.
Mm.
So they don't really want to just hear a story, they get that plenty. And I was fortunate enough to work for a principal. And in 2014, I was able to go to not a certification, but it was I guess, a workshop that allowed me to um, to bring information back to the school. And it gave me all of the tools I needed to do yoga for the classroom. So we're talking, that was a decade ago. So I always used that. And I was known as the yoga lady in the school. I was the unofficial yoga teacher because we did what was called well, it was a day where it's basically based on multiple intelligences, and that's what I
Yeah.
like to base everything on when I'm creating a lesson, is knowing like your students are individual people. They're not like one thing. They're people, and they all are very unique. So it was great to use the school's idea of multiple intelligences within my own. So what they did was, they had ballroom dancing, they had ballet, they had forensics and debate, and I did yoga. And
Mm.
I did that. I was blessed to do that for 7 years in a row. I would do daily guided meditations for the school after lunch to kind of relax everybody. I brought the word mindfulness into the zeitgeist of our school, or SEL, before it was really what it is today. It's really getting a lot more attention, thank goodness. So I did complete that program at Rutgers. And I also decided, well, I'm going to do yoga. I want to be certified in it. So
Mm.
I became a certified yoga kids instructor. Again, children are my are my choice. Um, because they don't take it too seriously. And that's what it's about. And also, I got my certification in mindfulness based stress relief. And then I went back and got it mindfulness meditation for children. So I was busy for a year, but I love to learn. So it was keeping me accountable. And I was in the classroom with students because I was doing my practicum. And that's where I kind of put the idea of taking yoga and just infusing it and making it a part. And over those 12 weeks, the school became very accustomed to me coming, and the kids, I mean, I go by Dee Dee. That's, my nickname for my friends. You guys are more than welcome to call me Dee Dee. But yeah, it was just kind of like, well, this can't end. And she was like, you're going to come back. So she's actually a life coach. Like, she's a angel in my life. Her name is Janine, and she's my mentor, and she owns the preschool. And she has been very kindly guiding me through um, how great the program is. I'm not the best salesman, I'll put you that way. Like,
Mm.
if you don't want to do something, I don't want to force anybody to do it. I work at like a YMCA or a Lifetime Fitness, and they'll send kids in that don't really want to do it. And that's not my vibe, you have to
Mm.
want to do it. Um, so, that being said, I try to incorporate something to get their attention. So when I do go to those types of places, they're going to want to sign up for my class because they realize, yeah, we're going to do yoga, but then we're also going to have, you know, um, where I'm going to be able to touch something, or I bring a coloring sheet and they color, or, the vocabulary is incredible. Your cards are everything to me. Those cards are everything. So they basically were like, oh, okay, this means that I can do a lesson about pretty much anything, and it can be yoga. And now, I've always been known as the yoga lady, but I feel uh, informed now. I feel legitimate, which is very important to me after the certifications. And it was just, I'm not very flashy and showy. So I didn't even really take pictures of some of the coolest stuff that I've done. I'm more in the moment. So
Right.
a little regretful of that, but I'm getting better. I'm trying to realize that if I spread the word, I can help more people, you know,
Yeah.
because I realized by just linking up with you, I've already connected with some cool people.
I love that. And I just want to highlight a few things, Deandra, that I think will resonate with our community here. There's a lot of this whole cohort of us, and myself included, actually, many years ago, we're educators. And then there's sort of like that next step. Okay, taking the bravery of quitting that job of safety, of our health insurance in this country and all those things, right? This is what we know to do. This is what we're trained to do. And taking that leap and being courageous to say, actually, this is me done for now. What else can I do? And I love the fact that you're taking all these different trainings. I mean, you'll find in the discovery of doing all these different trainings what you love to do. And I love that you were just doing it. So you just created programs that you thought children needed. It wasn't like someone it was cookie cutter and someone gave you a set program. You were creating things from scratch, working in a school that you could see there was a need, right?
Hmm.
And I love all of that. And I think that it speaks so much about you as a person that you take these risks, you take these jumps, and then, hoping that it's going to work out. And it certainly has worked out for you. So I think that's something that the community can really relate to.
Why, you do understand exactly. It was an enormous leap. Exactly. We were trained to think, I can't leave this job. I have to stay till I'm 55.
Yeah.
But when you know in your soul that you're just not in the right place,
Yeah.
and I am very blessed that I had the option. Not everybody does, so I also am very grateful for that and very mindful of that. Therefore, I didn't want to just sit here and,
Mhm.
that could take a toll on you. I like to, you use it or you lose it kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So I also have a support system for my husband who allows me to explore this, like meaning, um, you know, it's not always so easy.
Yeah, right, exactly. So one of the things that's really captured my attention, Deandra, about your work is how you organize your themes. Like when I see your photos or your videos of your boxes, I just think that's something that our community could really be so inspired by. Can you talk through with us how you create these boxes? You have a theme per box.
Right.
Sort of unpack it, give us an example of a theme and what kinds of things you have in these boxes.
Okay, I can tell you what I'm working on right now. I am working on unicorn yoga. That will be the
Mm.
next class. After today, I'm doing the spring yoga, as I mentioned, but I will next be doing unicorn. So I have a preschool that just signed up for 5 weeks. So the 5 weeks will include um, spring yoga, um, unicorn mermaid yoga, robot, and pirate yoga. So
Perfect.
for those 5 weeks, I have in my room right now, I love to include your posters, so we can go through and they can figure out what a routine is, like, a sequence. I'm doing it over. I can kind of show you what I have. This is my space. Um, I take a lot of things that my daughters don't want anymore. Nice stuff,
Mm.
I save things. So if they want something and I'm like, that's okay, they can get it because they'll get bored of it at some point and I'll get it. um,
Right, right.
right. So here is my box for unicorns. I love the series How to Catch.
Yes.
Depending on how old the kids are, I do a story. You know, sometimes it has to do with timing. When it's 30 minutes, I didn't have time to do a story, but I like to have it in the box because I put it in my storage. So therefore, when I have it next time, who knows what age I'll be working with, right? I like to find some type of coloring sheet, something, I put out crayons, post the practice. So I put out the books. They want to look at the books. They love inflatable things. I discovered that I think at Christmas time, I got these inflatable candy canes and ornaments, and it was just like it tied in really well with How to Catch a Elf story. And I was like, I have to find inflatables. So these are unicorns on a stick, like, like those
Mhm.
hobby horses. So it just gives them, because they get maybe about, I would say, 8 to 10 minutes after the practice to just kind of explore all of the things that I bring, because they do have to go back to class. So I don't want them to go completely, but I do want them to know, like, there's a payoff in the end. We want to do this yoga. Your parents signed you up for yoga, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna learn these words, and whatever unicorn thing I could find. Books again that were my daughters. That I have unicorn fidgets because I go a lot of places, so I have to have options because sometimes when I'm at Lifetime Fitness teaching, I'll get like 20 kids, and for example, I'm giving out these ears for the
Right.
practice so everybody can wear bunny ears during practice. So I have to have options because then I might run out of that and then I'll have something else for the next group. So I'll have like unicorn fidgets or stickers. You know what I mean? So I like to have options for something them to take home to reinforce whatever it was that we were going over. So
Right.
they
I
remember.
love this.
Yeah.
I love it because I think you step back and you think holistically. What you're providing the children there is, as you mentioned, you're basing in the multiple intelligences,
Mhm.
right? And so you're looking at, and also from your background from special ed, SEL, mindfulness, yoga, an educator. So you're bringing this all together, and I think I would say it's helping to engage children, right? Because you're offering them a creative space in which they get to choose. There's choices that you're offering them, and you're offering books for those children who like story time. You're offering, the 5 post posters, and there's card decks that we've got yoga card decks. Then you've got the stuffies. You can do breathing buddies, for example, with
Oh
the
yes.
blow ups is really fun.
Belly breathing. I'll have tons of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then fidgets, it's something for the children, something more tactile. Like you just have such a variety of different objects and books and props and things in these boxes that's allowing the children, it's giving them agency in which to learn these topics. It's more than just the yoga, right? It's literacy based. And I'm sure you're adding some math in there. I'm sure you're adding some science in there. It's multidisciplinary and allowing the children to be able to cater to their own learning styles without even realizing it because you have so much on offer, right?
It's the teacher in me to want to maximize the amount of time I have with them. I feel oddly like I feel I must give them what they deserve in these 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Like this is my job, so I take it seriously. So
Yeah, I
um
love it.
I I'm very detail oriented. I try to think of every type of kid and I notice what some kids gravitate towards. I believe me, kids don't like wearing things on their face. They don't like, you would think like they don't, I don't know how they'll do with the ears today. um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I also want to show you this corner of my little workspace because this is my office, my room. I always print your cards and then laminate them so that
Oh,
way they
cool.
don't get ripped up. And then I put them right on the side of my clear like storage box so I can see right from there what I'm looking at, and it's like very convenient. I just had to go to my storage unit and find pirates because I hadn't done that since summertime. And it's right there. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
every
the Instagram, when you've shared an Instagram, you've got in your storage, you've got there are piles of boxes with all your different themes. I mean, it makes my teacher heart so happy because that's exactly how my brain works. Like I'm creative, but I'm also super organized. So I
and
love that. I love that structure.
and also like if I'm running low on something, I'll be sure to keep like one or two and put it in the box so it'll remind me, oh, these worked. I have to get more of these. Like, I'm not going to buy them right now, but when I do this again,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, talk to us a little bit more about, you were an educator, you were in a classroom, right? And being a kid's yoga teacher is very different, right? You've got these children for half an hour, 45 minutes. So the behavior management can cause a lot of issue for teachers, understandably. What have you found in your experience is your sort of top tips for engaging children in the practice? Because as you say, some of your children are showing up that maybe don't necessarily want to be there or are not really engaged in the topic or they don't feel like it or their energies for lots of different reasons. They're not available for that class. What are some of your tips to kind of capture their attention?
Well, I'm pretty theatrical.
Mm.
So, my favorite thing to do is to read a story like a book to children. It's like I do voices. I love that. So, I am very, I act childish. I have to be honest. I don't know what the other teachers out there think of me, but I'm being myself. And, I have repeat, you know, children, yogis that come to my class, say, and that's a great feeling. and they like wait there. They're waiting right before the class. Like it's a good feeling. So I would just say by being yourself, you're with children. If you're going to be a kids yoga teacher, um, it's okay. They want to see the real you. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
they are with other teachers and they have to like abide by those standards of the classroom and the, classroom management rules. But when I come, I'm kind of a treat, if you will. Not every kid is is coming to my class. This is that the parents decide to sign up or not. So when I come, it's the kids that sign up, and I like again said, I do everything I can to maximize what I have planned in that 30 minutes. A lot of it is through trial and error. I will figure out, oh my gosh, I should not have read the story to the age. They can't sit through a story. Or I've learned you could still show a book, but not really read the words, kind of like go through it and just kind of like, story tell. Um, I love vocabulary. So I definitely um, like to give little tidbits about everything. And there's some very interesting vocabulary. Like there was some really interesting words I had to look up for the um, St. Patrick's Day. And like, I wanted to know what they were. So I like to give them little bits of information that they may have never, I don't know, nobody might ever teach them. So I like that. That's what I like to do is like give little Easter eggs, if you will, like these little something to take home. Not necessarily, Easter eggs meaning like little tidbits that you can catch during my class.
Yeah, and I do love that connection between your class and home. The fact that you're giving them, handouts or, coloring pages of things to have that's that whole community. Again, this holistic point of view of how do we engage the families in this and something that they can take back to their classrooms too, right? So that you've got this
That too.
thread between your class and their classroom, right?
Correct. I it was really kind. Like I noticed that they were hanging up the stuff that I was leaving behind. So this
Yeah.
was an extension. And I did come to a point where I asked for them to request themes so that it could perhaps reinforce whatever it is they're
Yes.
doing. So,
Yeah.
because I have an abundance, so I give them choices. I said, how about we go fantasy this time, and then in the summer we'll do habitats. So we'll do different. We'll do desert. We'll do tropical. We'll
Right.
do that. So I like to get their input and have them be a part of it so it's not redundant, something that they maybe just read or did, or, maybe something that they're not ready for,
Yeah, I love that so much. That's how I was taught way back in the days to teach through themes, and so I
yeah,
absolutely agree with you. If the children are learning something in classroom and then they're doing something with you, it just their brains, right? It's going to have them have it be relevant and meaningful. They can make those connections. So,
yeah,
for example, last week I was subbing in a kindergarten class, and they were learning all about tadpoles, right? And so there was the fish tank there, and there were all the books about that. And so I came home and I just this morning I was writing about we have yoga for science ideas and we have a
yeah,
life cycle of frogs. And so I just put that together in an article we'll post soon. But again, it's of course you can add movement. It just makes so much sense, adding story time and movement and mindfulness and acting out the life cycle of a frog makes so much sense. It's not
it,
like it's weird and different. It's natural, right?
it's
It
what
helps them
they're,
embody.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's how
Yeah.
we take information in. It's how you reinforce,
Right.
what the theme is. I,
Right. Right. And little children are not meant to sit in a chair all day long anyway, right? And so you're offering them. I love that. So tell us a story. We love stories here, Deandra. You know that. Tell
Sure.
us a story of, a success story with a child, maybe something that happened in your class, or tell us a little bit about maybe something that really worked.
Okay. I have a bet you anything he's gonna walk in. I have a class that I teach at a very upscale gym. And um, I'll put it this way, the clients aren't the most friendly. Okay. So the children aren't always the kindest and don't really know like like manners, sometimes.
Mm.
So I really don't love to be disrespected by little children. So I am trying to reinforce that, hey, I don't really respond to I want. Like, I don't know, is there
Mm.
something else you can say? Like, I want this, I want that. That's what they say. And I know you want that, but is there another way we could say that? And then they'll be like, please. And I'm like, yes, like that's my favorite word. And like, yes. And that may be annoying to some kids. They just want what they want. Give me what I want, lady, whatever. Until like one of these children that I was a little worried that was going to be a bit of a behavior issue, um, turned out to be quite the opposite. And he is a regular in my class now. And he hangs on my every word. And he said the other day, well, please is your favorite word. And I
Mm.
was like, ah, thank you. Yes, it is. Like, so it got through to one of them, and this was a student, a yogi, that I was skeptical of. And I don't really like to say that, but sometimes you can tell if the kid's going to be into your class or not. And I was dead wrong. And I am very grateful that, whatever I said resonated with him and he continued to come so that I learned that even the littlest things, they're listening, and
Yeah.
even if that kid just goes and says please to someone else, like they'll be like, wow, that kid knows manners because it's hard to come by. So I think
Yeah.
of that as a success story.
I love that so much. And I think what you're speaking to there too is that one of the issues we're having, nationally here, and I'm sure around the world too, is how do we integrate social emotional learning? It was something that came natural to us when we were younger, and now there's the name of it, and now there's, millions of dollars spent on these specific programs. And what you're saying there is something different. It's just who you be. And it's
Mhm.
just standing up for a respectful way of being, right?
Mhm.
Through a word, please, of adding manners. And so you're naturally exuding social emotional learning through the way that you're interacting with the students. And
Mhm.
for that child to pick it up, like,
Yeah.
yes, this is just what we do, right?
Right. The kinder way of, like, how would you rather someone ask you I want, or would you rather someone say please to you? Just
Yeah.
simply putting, it in everyday life, the
Right.
SEL, whatever
Exactly.
it is that some teachers may be afraid they don't know how to teach. And it's just simply being human, you
Yeah.
know?
Right, exactly. Because yeah, well, that's what we hear, right? We see the research of, why teachers don't integrate SEL is because they don't have time. But what you're sharing is this is the essence. It's about being human. It's about connecting with children on a deeper level. It's about standing up for this is the way we treat each other with respect, right? And having manners and seeing each other. That's where it's at. And had you not slowed down, right? And you've got your plans, had you not slowed down and caught wind that this was happening and this is what was important to you,
Yeah.
then that experience wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have gone with that. And also the other piece of that is it always the case the students who we think are maybe the most reluctant, right, are the ones who come back with the most surprising stories?
I know. It's an old adage or whatever you might say, but don't judge a book by its cover. Like,
Yeah.
every kid, every person, I should say, kid, person, it communicates in the way that,
Mhm.
they know how and what they've been doing and what's been getting them to survive thus far. So
Yes.
it doesn't mean they can't use a little tip along the way. And
Yeah.
maybe his mom isn't appreciating that at home, or dad, or whomever. Um, so yeah, I'm a big person, like a little can go so far. Like a smile
Yeah.
at
Right.
someone,
Exactly.
opening the door for someone is just like so necessary, I think.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've shared such great things. So what would you say sort of as your parting advice to other children's yoga teachers who, this idea of we love what we do. It's a bit scary to take that leap into to putting these classes together, but class planning can be quite overwhelming. Sort of people not knowing how do you engage reluctant kids, how do you run a business, how do you make this successful? Sort of like what's your parting advice for children's yoga teachers?
My parting advice would be that if this is what is in your heart, then go for it. It doesn't have to be all consuming. This is something that can just be a part of your life. If you'd like to
Mhm.
just, just be a part of the community, or to take the leap and try to actually teach. Again, I began my journey in 2014, and I've been on an amazing journey there. And
Yeah.
I only have two clients. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm very, very slow to grow. For whether it's, you know, anxiety or, just I have two kids and, you know, just life, you know.
Yes.
I
Right.
am I like to say again, and I think it's an adage. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but slow and steady wins the race.
Oh, I love the slow steady. I'm with you.
Yeah,
Totally on the slow steady. Yes.
I had to surrender to that, you know.
Yes.
I just turned 43 and I am finally in a place where I can like be kind to me and not just
Yes.
me, and take in these things like the young man saying please is my favorite word. Like it
Yeah.
allows me to to really truly reflect and take in what is important and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I love that so much. Awesome. Oh, you're just such a source of joy. We love hearing from you.
Thank
So, how
you.
do we connect with you online and anything that's next for you?
Um, well, I do have an aspiration to have a character that I developed, and his name is Benjamin Franklin. And
Oh, oh my goodness.
he is a dog. He's based off of my dog. I could show you a picture. And been working a long time on the animation of him. But again, I would love to write a book. I would love to be an author.
Yes.
And I would like him to be my star. And Benjamin Franklin discovers whatever it might be, you know, perseverance, or discovers spring, or discovers the life cycle. You know,
Mhm.
I've had him in my mind a long time, and he has come to life. So if you like to see what he looks like, you can find me on Instagram. I'm ZenTime Studios, ZenTime Studios, all one. And I also have a website. It's in construction, working on it. And that's www.zentimestudios.com.
Beautiful. And we'll put those in the show notes too, so
Yeah.
people can
And if
find you.
you'd like to email
Yeah.
me, I'm zentimestudios@gmail.com. So if anybody's
Awesome.
interested in connecting, I'd love that.
Yes, definitely. And we love seeing you on our community gatherings and in our sphere. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Jandra. Thank
Too.
you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I
Keep on doing you.
thank you so much.